Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm for Classic and welcome to BenchART. Today we do have in here another test. This one it is quite lightweight. It's Yakuza like a dragon pirate Yakuza. So I'm starting off with 1080p at this time with maximum settings with no upscaling at all. Alright, and this is what you get. What you get is a performance well above 60 frames per second in here. It's around even above 100 frames per second in many occasions. The VRAM usage it is about 6 gigs of VRAM, which is fine. CPU usage it is a tad high since frame rate it is unlocked. I'm not really sure if I'm being bottlenecked or not while traversing in here. Looking to the GPU usage dropping to 80 something percent. It almost seems like my Ryzen 5 3600X is doing some bottleneck in here. Also because I'm running with PCI Express 3 instead of 4. My motherboard doesn't support PCI Express 4, so this might cause a bottleneck, which means that if you have a more recent platform, a more recent CPU, probably you can extract like 5 to 10% of extra frame rate compared to me. Alright, so that's what you should know. But even with these limitations that I do have in here, 1080p maximum settings, it just performs really well, no questions asked in here. So because of that, I'm just going to move on after this fight to 1440p just to see how it fares. Alright, let's go. As for 1440p, let me just show you off the settings. I decided to start on with my recommended 1440p settings, which is essentially playing at high settings instead of ultra. Playing at high, it does decrease shadow quality from high to medium, geometric quality from high to medium, reflections from high to medium, and also anisotropic filtering from 16 times to 8 times. Honestly, you can keep at 16. Despite I'm using 8, the anisotropic filtering does not impact the performance at all in GPUs of today. It might impact like half frame or something like that, so it's not really a big deal. But it's really up to you, and I decided to follow the presets for this game. So this time around, the GPU usage it is a little bit different, so it's around 97-98%. So if there is a bottleneck in place, it should be much lower. So I'm having an experience above 60 frames per second in here, um, with the 1% lows until now of 65. It is mostly above the 60 line, so it's about 70, which is pretty good, honestly. The only doubt that I have is that if performance is enough on the cutscenes. If the cutscenes starts to be an issue, you might need to use FSR3 or Intel XeSS on its quality mode to provide an extra frame rate. But honestly, I doubt that you need that. But it's really up to you and the experience that you have. So let's just engage in here in a quick fight just to see how it fares. And it didn't change really one single bit. So it's just performing really well. Above 60, no drops whatsoever, no frame time inconsistencies, and the VRAM usage, it still remains at 6 gigabytes of VRAM. But what about the maximum settings? I mean, the same settings that I did use at 1080p, but at 1440p. So let's check it out. Let me just show you the settings as usual. 1440p, highest quality preset. As you can see, every stuff maxed out. No upscaling being used. Just like all the rest of the settings. And so far, it seems pretty good, above 60. But unfortunately, drops will happen. Oh no, it started to rain. Rain does affect a little bit the performance, but not really much. Even with the sun environment in here, it would drop below 60 in some occasions. So don't think that the rain it's just doing the damage. It's not. It's slightly more demanding than when it's sun. Mostly because you lose most of the shadows when it's raining. They are still in here, but some shadows are occluded instead of the being shown. But yeah, we have around 50 frames per second at this moment. So it's an experience above 50, essentially, what you're going to get. For some people, they are okay with this. I'm not, honestly. If I want to target 60 frames per second, I want it to be as stable as possible. And, well, we don't get that in here with these settings. But if you have a FreeSync screen, you can play like this, since you won't be noticing these drops to 50 frames per second. So free sync screen users, you can play the game at 1440p maxed out, but for regular users, well, it is not recommended, and it's probably the best option for you to play with TI settings. Now, this is all that I want to try out at 1440p, so I think it's time to move on to 4K. Alright, let's start with my recommended settings for 4K. So, as you can see, 4K, this is custom. I will explain why. So, it's median settings in here. What it compares to high settings is just texture filtering. It is set to 40 instead of 8, and motion blur is disabled. So, to be honest, the performance difference between high to median is nothing at all. To be honest, it's just absolutely almost nothing. And the difference is the median settings does use FSR2 on its quality mode. That's where the improvement comes from. So what I did do with these median presets to be custom is that I applied the median settings as it is, but instead of having FSR2 on its quality mode, I'm using FSR3 on its balanced mode. So essentially I'm upscaling from a lower resolution than what the median preset suggests. And to be more specific about it, the resolution that we are upscaling from, it should be pretty much 120 30p. No, 1230p. That's what I meant. It's something in between 1440p and 1080p, upscaled to 4K, while using more or less the same graphics as the eye settings, without motion blur and texture filtering to 4. That, like I said before, you can enable 16 times anisotropic filtering. It's just fine, don't worry. You will probably lose like 1 frame or something like that. And as you can see, performance it is above 60, very stable. So this is my recommended settings for 4K. Now, looking to the other settings that I did try out at 4K, I'm going to try it out 4K with the high settings in here. So I'm just going in here, and instead of using custom, I'm just going to enable high. Alright, as you can see, this is the high presets, and I will upscale this time around from FSR3 quality mode. So essentially I'm upscaling from 1440p, alright, to 4K, just to see how it goes. And performance seems good, right? It's above 60, and it will be above 60 most of the time. And this can be your recommended settings if you want, since it plays above 60, although it's not my recommended, because for example on the intro cutscenes that I did get, or that you go through, I got some drops below than 60. Yeah, they are cutscenes, they are not playable missions at all, but it still did drop below 60, and I didn't really enjoy to see that, to be honest. So I don't think that's a wise decision. So alternatively, if you don't want to decrease the median settings and lose motion blur, for example, you can keep your height settings, and instead of using FSR3 on its quality mode, just decrease FSR3 to its balanced mode and call it a day. I'm pretty sure it will be above 60. Still, this is a very nice settings. I mean the 4K with FSR3 in its quality mode and high settings. It's a very good setting if you have a FreeSync screen, because you won't be noticing anything, just like 1440p with maximum settings in here. Now let's move on to the maximum settings and see how it fares. Did I say maximum settings? I think I didn't mean it. What I mean is probably high settings without any upscaling solution. So here it is, 4K resolution, high settings, and without any upscaling. So what you can find in here, it is an experience usually above 30 frames per second, and as you can see, so we are hovering through the beach and we are having about 36, 37 frames per second, 35. So there might even be drops below than 30, I'm assuming, in more demanding moments. But so far, the core experience that you will get without upscaling, which is surprising, the upscaling is really giving a good edge in frame rate in here, much more than I was expecting. It's pretty much almost doubling the performance when using upscaling. Without upscaling, I'm just having like 35 frames per second, 34. It might drop even below than that. So that's why maximum settings doesn't make sense to test, because I did try it out for 5 seconds and I was already below than 30. So it's not playable at maximum settings. But if you want to enjoy Yakuza like a dragon on Hawaii, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the game. If you want to enjoy this game at a 30 frames per second experience lock, playing at 4K with the high settings without any sort of upscaling seems to do the trick. Alright, but still, and talking again, my favorite settings is either 1080p maximum settings, 1440p high settings, or 4K median settings with FSR free in its balanced mode. So guys, that's it. Hope you did enjoy the video, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.